Hello and welcome to our video where we're going to show you how to configure various custom indicators in our various products. Okay, so let's get going. Let's start with this trend slope. So when an indicator first comes up, it gives you an idea how it works. Really, if you go to the Colours tab, we can see it's looking like it's got a couple of colours there, and sure enough, that's what it's showing on the charts. And to configure that, what we would do in our EAs is go to Config, Indicator Values to Capture, put a reference in, we just put TS, and then the indicator name as it appears in MetaTrader, so that's going to be trend underscore slope. And next we're going to need to set this colour index. So this says how we should view the indicator. And if you have a look, we can see that colour index 0 is the blue and colour index 1 is the red, which is for sell. So what we do, what it's expecting, it wants the buy one first, which is 0, and then comma, and then the sell one, which is 1. And that's quite common. We do see that a lot. Occasionally it can be the other way around, but usually it's 0,1. We're going to keep the capture mode default buy sell. We'll be talking more about that later in the video, don't worry. And the other thing we should think about is the shift setting. This indicator does repaint. It repaints. If you run it under the strategy tester, you see that between candle 1 and 0 you can get like a little flickering line between the two candles. So because it's repainting on 1 and 0, we really could do with putting the shift 2 just so that we get a nice accurate stats and a nice kind of stable signal. So if you just click save, so what it's going to do then is it'll just go through looking at that indicator and then fill in the colours at the bottom. So this is the output from our EA on what it's seeing, and you can see there it's matching up nicely to what we're expecting. So this is for our products with the config button and the indicator values to capture pop up. But if you've got something like our dashboard or indicator matrix, this uses inputs to set the custom indicators up. So you just put in trend slope in there. Display as, that could just be TS, again it's just something that it just puts on the screen. Colour index, that's where you put your 0,1 in. The midpoint, if it's 0, actually blank that out. There was a release, the latest one actually, it's going to be blanked out. And then again the default capture mode, and that would do that. Okay, the next indicator we're going to have a look at is called Stridesman, and this is it on the chart. Similar story, we've got the colour changes going on. It doesn't matter that it's in a separate window, and if you right click on the properties of the indicator, we can see we've got same idea but different colour indexes. We've got 2,3. Okay, so it seems like we should just have to put in there the 2,3, and that should be fine. Click save, and let's see what it makes of that. Okay, so it sort of works. We've got the green okay. The red though, it's only just appearing for one bar, one candle. We really could do with it all being red, because you could have other indicators that you're waiting for it to line up. So we really need to have this all red. So we need to investigate a little bit more what's going on. So what we've got, we've created something new, indicator values to capture. So you see this little question mark next to colour index. So this is our new colour index helper. Even if you've got something like our dashboard, don't forget you could download the demo version of our EA, so you'd get this feature which puts this vertical line up, and then what it does, it scans the indicator that's configured, this Stridesman, you can see their indicator name, and it outputs all the different colour index values, so you can actually see what's going on. So let's just zoom in a little bit more. Let's move to the end there. So let's have a little look. So we were looking at colour index 2 and colour index 3. So let's put it, so we put the vertical line on the green, and we can see there that 2 has got a value which we're expecting, and then 3 is null. Okay, but if we go to a red, the problem one, we can see that 2 is still given a value, and so is 3. So there's a bit of a conflict there. And what's actually happening is this indicator is always displaying green, but it's putting the red on top. So really what we need to do is just look at this red colour index 3, because this is the one that's changing. So if we go to green, we're on a null, 3 is on a null. So this is what you do with this index helper. You just see what is changing. That's going to give you what you need. So with green, we're on null. On red, we've got the value there. So so when it's not null, it's a cell. So what we've got there, so it's color index 3. So what we want is color index 3. I've got a special capture mode for this situation called not null is cell. We've got a not null is by, but in this case we want that one. Then if we click save, so it's just going to look now that color index 3, and you can see that's done it. So we're back, we're in business now, all sorted. Okay, so the next kind of indicator we're going to look at is like a histogram, where you've got these, now with this one you've got like bright blue, you've got a dark blue, and then you've got a bright red and a dark red. We won't worry about the dots just for the moment. If you look at the indicator properties, as you could expect, you've got the different colour indexes for those colours. So we've got the bright ones first, and then the dark 1, 2 and 3 there. So the way we would configure that, if we were just interested in the bright one, you could just put your 0 and 1 in, and that would do that. So it's just going to look at the bright colours, which is like this kind of the strong trend effectively. Okay, so we've got that there. So you can just see when we've got the strong colour, we get the green coming in and the strong red, which is fine. Now it could be that you're actually quite happy with the dark blue, you're just interested in the general trend, so you just want it to go be showing the buy situation all the way through there and then the sell situation. So what you can do to do that is, if we select it again, is you're allowed to add to this, so you can have multiple pairs of buy and sell. So we can just simply put in those other two colours, the 2 and the 3. Click save. So now it's filled it in. So whenever we've got the blue, whether it's the bright or dark, we're in green, and then red opposite. Now you may wonder about these dots. The idea of the dots is when you've got a green dot, that's when you should trade, because it means the market's actually moving, and then you should avoid these blue dots. So we can see with this indicator, it's using colour index 4 and 5 for the dots. So let's have a little look how we might configure that, because it's going to be quite interesting. Okay, it's a little bit of advanced this one, but it's going to be interesting. So let's just get our little helper tool again. Let's zoom in again. So let's have a look what we've got. Let's just move to the end there. Okay, so let's have a little look. So the green, we were looking at so there on the blue, so we've got a null there on the 5 on the blue. So we're really interested in this green, which is going to be number 6. Correction, sorry, number 5. So we've got 0 and 1 is your bright colours, 2 and 3 is your dark colours, and 4 and 5 is for the dots. So really, this number 5 is going to be 0 when we want to trade, and then null when we don't want to trade. So null is actually the value used in MetaTrader for that is a very large integer number. So what we can do is to specify for this colour index 5 is we could add a new instance. That's going to be CBB2. The indicator, by the way, is the Cynthia BB. We were interested in colour index 5, and what we want, we've got these capture modes where the value has to be above mid or below mid, and what we wanted there, we wanted it to be below this massive integer number, so we wanted it to be 0. We wanted to trade when it's 0, so we go value below mid, and then the midpoint, which is over here, we just need to put a number really bigger than 0 in, so we put in 500 and then click save. So what it's going to do, okay, so what we can see now when we've combined those two things together, so we're only getting the red You can see it here where you only got the red when there was the green being shown along with the bright red. Don't forget we've got shift 1, so that means that we're looking at the closed candle value. That's why it just appears a little bit afterwards. And then again, similarly, you're only getting the green buy situation when we've got the blue and the green dots. Okay, just so you can see the trades a bit more clearly, so you get the trades on the colour change. Okay, so just let's recap that because there's quite a lot in there. So basically we've ended up capturing the indicator twice. So we did the first instance was to get the buy sell indication, and then we decided to make things a little bit more advanced by looking at those dots, and we needed the green dot to appear, which was represented by colour index 5. And what we needed was capture mode, which says trade when the value is below mid. And we just set the midpoint to 500 because that green shows when it is value 0, and when it's a blue, the green is actually going to be what's known as the null value, which in MetaTrader, because you imagine null might mean 0, but in MetaTrader where you see null, that's actually a very large integer value. Okay, so we now switch to MetaTrader 5 for the next indicator. And just want to show you the properties, because this is a bit of a MetaTrader 5 feature where you can actually have multiple colours on seemingly the same index. So you may wonder, well, how on earth does that work? So let's just show you. So again, you're going to need our colour index helper. I've filled in the indicator name and everything, just so you don't have to watch me type. So let's put the helper on so we can see there we've got our cursor. So when we're in the red zone, we can see we've got the price that it's at, and then index 1 is giving us the colour. So it's 1 is going to be red, and then green is 2. Okay, so the way we configure this is a new feature, is we're interested in colour index 1 because that's the one that's giving us the buy or sell indication. Index 0 is just no use because it's just giving us the price, so we're not interested in that. So we want colour index 1, and then we set the midpoint, and this is what we need to do. So this is a new feature. So when you've got two values, one value being the buy and the second value being the sell, you put the value that represents the buy first, which is going to be 2, so it's showing 2 for buy, colon, and then put the value that represents sell. So colour index 1 is actually giving the value of 1 on the sell situation. So click save, and let's just activate strategy builder mode so we can just actually see what it's capturing. So there you can see now we've got the colour changes, so we're in the green situation there, and it's turned green. So that's how we do that type of indicator. Just in MetaTrader 5 you'll see that. Okay, the next indicator I want to look at is ADX arrow, and it's one from MetaTrader Market. What it does, it puts these dots on the chart at the start of the trend. Okay, so it's a similar story with the if we look at the properties where we've got the two colours there. So we can just put in the colour index 0, which is your buy one, comma, and the sell. If you're referencing indicators in MetaTrader Market, you need to put this subfolder in with the market \. Keep shifts on 1 because it does repaint this on the live candles. So shift 0 is the live candle value, but we want shift 1, so we want to wait for the candle to close before we look at the indicator. So we click save. Okay, so we can see what's happened is it's getting the signal, but just on the particular candle after the dot. So, which is okay, but if you're combining it with other indicators, it could be that the other indicators don't line up until a bit later, so you wouldn't actually get a trade signal because all indicators wouldn't be in agreement, because usually you'd have it to set to trade when 100% of the indicators are in agreement. So what it'd be nice to do is to get it to extend this signal a bit further. So if we go into config and select it, we've got this hold bars box, and what that will do is remember the indicator value for a bit longer unless it gets a signal in the opposite direction. So if we put in 2, click save, So what it's going to do, it's going to see the indicator, but it's going to remember it for a bit longer, so it gives you a chance for some of your other indicators to line up. But it would also prevent a late entry, so if your other indicators didn't line up until here, then it's getting a bit late really, so it would filter that out for you. So it's a really terrific feature. And just one extra thing about it is you do have the option of setting to star, and what that does, it will remember it until it gets a signal in the opposite direction. So you can see now it's filled it all in. The other way you could configure this, and it's the way you need to do it if you've got the Dashboard Pro or Indicator Matrix, is to, because there's no hold bars with the Dashboard and Indicator Matrix, but we do have an alternative method which is distance, and this kind of looks back and will look back when it actually sees the signal indicates, and that will give us the same outcome. We recommend the whole bars because that will actually be a little bit more processor efficient. Okay, so it's now time to look at indicators where we've got lines crossing values or crossing each other. So we're going to look at this indicator called TDI, Traders Dynamic Index, and we've got this green line, for instance, and it's crossing as a 50 level here, and this is like the transition between buy and sell. So let's say I wanted to configure the system where it signals for buy when it's over the 50 and signals for sell when it drops below the 50. So what we would do there, indicators value is TDI, the indicator name is just TDI. Now let's have a little look at the properties. So the green is color index 4, so let's just put that in, color index 4, and now this is where we start to use this midpoint box. So this midpoint is the transition point between buy and sell, which as we mentioned was 50. So if we click that and save, so now it's just going to look at that green line and have a look, so we can see now when it's crossed over the 50, got the green, dipped under a little bit, and that's it. Oh, by the way, if you wanted to filter that out, we do have indicator values to capture TDI. We have a min bars where it'll wait for it to the indicator to be there for a couple of bars before it'll actually signal. So here we've got the buy signal. We haven't got that sell because it wasn't there long enough, so that would prevent you doing a false entry there. So it's just another good example of features that we've got that are really useful, and it's good to point them out. Right, let's go back to TDI. Let's just delete that just so it doesn't interfere with anything. So let's have a look now at two lines crossing each other. So we've got this red crossing the yellow. So let's have a look at that. So we've got red, which is 5, crossing 2, which was the yellow. So we put the slow one first, which is the yellow, and then the faster one that's doing the crossing, 5, and then we've got a capture mode, cross by sell. Now on the dashboard and matrix at the moment it's called open close cross for historical reasons. We'll probably look at renaming that so it matches this, but it's basically one that says the cross in it. So we've got the 2 crossing the 5, and that should be good to go. We've deleted the midpoint because we're just looking at 2 lines crossing each other. Yep, that's great. So as that red cross the yellow, we've got our signal there. That's lovely. Right, now you may say, because we've got these blue lines, hopefully you can see it on the video, you may say, well, we want to trade when the green perhaps crosses this blue, and then trade a sell when the green crosses the lower blue. So we've got like 3 lines. We've got one doing the crossing, and then we've got an upper and lower bound. So again, if we have a look, we've got the 2 blues. A little top tip is if you change the colour, you can actually see which blue is which. So we can see now that it was the lower one. So let's go to config, indicator values to capture, TDI. Let's have a little look again. So really what we want is the green. We're going back to the green, color index 4. When it crosses this upper blue line 1, we want the buy, and when it crosses the lower color index 3, we want the sell situation. So what we do, we put the 1 in, the 3 in, which was the lower blue, and then the one that's doing the cross, which was 4, that green one. So we click save. So now we just get the buy signal when it's crossed, so it's nice and a strong signal when it's crossed the blue, and again we get the sell when it's crossed under the blue. Hopefully you can see that on the video. Well, actually now that I've changed the colour, it's a little bit easier to see. So that's an example of line crosses. Okay, so the next type of cross indicator we want to look at is one where we're interested in the price crossing certain lines. We've got this indicator, TMR major levels. It's got a couple of buffers that it's using. If we just have a little look, they're both white, so it's helpful, I think, if we just colour one of them a slightly different colour so we can just see which is which. So yeah, we've got like a bottom one, and what we're interested in is if the price breaks through this top one or closes underneath. So basically if it goes above colour index 0, then we want to open a buy, and if it goes below colour index 1, the sell situation, then we want to open a sell. So what we do is put the colour indexes in, the buy one, and then so those are the two levels that we're interested in, and then we're interested in the price crossing. So we have a special colour index of -1, which means price, and then we still need our capture mode of the cross buy sell. So and then we're good to go, so let's just click save on that. Okay, so now what we've got is when it goes underneath that line and closes below it, that's when we get our signal, and then again when it's gone over, it's going to do the buy situation. This is an interesting situation. So here you may wonder, well, why is it not opened another trade there? And the reason is actually what we call the reset level, where it will only trade a buy once it's seen a sell situation. But we can change that. So we can go to config, general settings, set the reset threshold to 0, click save. So what it'll do now is when it sees the kind of orange colour, then that's going to be sufficient for a reset. So then it's traded when it's actually come back. So it's traded the buy, it's seen the orange, so it's done the reset, and it says, oh, once I've got a reset I can trade again. So it's opened all these extra trades. So that's just an extra feature to demonstrate. Okay, the next indicator I want to look at is like a bounce type indicator where we've got the price crossing, and we're interested now in a bit of a reversal kind of strategy. So what we're interested in doing is when we see it actually closing below this line, it's actually going to get ready to do a buy trade. So if we have a look at the bounce properties, let's just get the change the colours again so we can just check what we're dealing with. Okay, so right, so actually it's going to be the indexes we're interested in is actually 1 and 2. So 0, let's just make that a slightly different colour altogether. So yeah, the 0 we're not interested in, we're just interested in it closing below. Also I did change the period to 50, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So basically what we're interested in is if the price, which is represented by -1 colour index, crosses the index 1, then we're going to have a sell situation, and if it crosses 2, we're then going to have the buy situation. So we're going to put in there colour index of 1, 2, so 1 is your upper bound, 2 is your lower bound, and then the one doing the crossing is the price, represented by -1. And I changed that period, so I do need to reflect that, because expert advisors have to capture indicators from themselves, so we do need to be configured with everything. We want our open, close, across, buy, sell. That's it. And the one extra thing, well let's just leave it at that, just show you what happens. So click save. So now what it's doing, it's opening the sell trade when it closes below. Okay, now as promised, I just wanted to show you how to configure this as a reversal strategy if you wanted to do that. So we can compare and see which is the best really. So indicators values, And what you want to do, if you want to reverse, so you want to make it open a buy instead of a sell and vice versa, is if you put an exclamation mark in the midpoint, that's a little code just to tell the product to just do an inversion. And now we get the buy situation when it's done that, when it's closed below. And then similarly you get a sell situation, but you probably have to increase the stop loss if you're hoping for the reversal. You need to give it a bit more wiggle room. Okay, now I'd like to show you about indicators where we're looking for like oversold, overbought levels. So we've got a standard stochastic on here, and we're interested when the signal line goes over the 80 or it goes below the 20. And the way we can do that, so let's go through it. If we put the midpoint, so what we're allowed to do is put the buy situation, which we'll put 80, and then we put a forward slash and then the sell situation, which would be 20. We've already selected stochastic. It's all there. Okay, so we click save. So we can see now when it's gone under the that 20 line, we've got the sell signal, and then when it's gone over, we've got the buy signal. Now let's say we want, so that's as if it was like a breakout. Let's say we wanted to do a reversal. The way we would do it is indicator values to capture, select the stochastic again. So really the buy situation is going to be the 20, so we want to be doing a buy down here when the indicator's gone below 20, and 80 is going to be the sell situation, so that will get you the kind of reversal. So now we've got the buy, signaling for buy if it's gone sort of oversold, so we've reversed it quite nicely. And sometimes what it can be nice is just to get it when the actual line crosses. So here it's signaled for a buy as soon as it went under, but it might be nice to signal for a buy when it's definitely kind of crossed over, so it's crossed from oversold into normal. So let's just show you how we can do that. So we've got a new capture mode available called on cross. So what that will do is it will just signal when the indicator value has crossed a particular stated value, which is the 2080. So if we click save now, so we're just getting the signal when it's gone back over the line. Okay, so it's waited there. Okay, let's have a little look. So again, here you can see it here. So it went overbought, but it wasn't until it came back that we actually got the sell signal. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions, as always, do email us at support@runwiseFX.com, and we'll hopefully be doing new versions of this video where we'll add in some extra indicators as well.